Welcome to the bonfire, Unkindled One.
Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello and welcome back to Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3, where today we will finally be tackling the Ringed City, the second and last DLC of Dark Souls 3, and in fact the last DLC of Dark Souls in general. But let's take a look at the gear that we will be using. I have the Blessed Lothric Greatsword, upgraded to +9. I still am being a little bit stingy with my Titanite slabs. Hopefully that will change though as we pick some more up in the DLC. I have the Sunless Talisman upgraded to +4, again for that same very reason. I also am using the Pyromancer's Parting Flame. Notice that this is not upgraded at all. I am using this strictly for the weapon art, which we will be seeing a few times in this first episode. I have the Eastern Helm, the Alva Armor, the Gauntlets of Thorns, and the Alva Leggings for my Fashion Souls, Lloyd's Sword Ring, Lightning Clutch Ring to boost with the Greatsword damage, the Priestess Ring, but I do also have the Scholar's Ring in my back pocket. I'll be switching that just to show off one particular weapon, and then I have the Chloranthy Ring. Estus, Ashen Estus, Alluring Skulls, and Green Blossoms will round out the consumables. As far as my stats go, if you want to take a look, here they are. Now I do have 2 spells equipped. I have Emit Force, and I also have Deep Protection for that slightly added defense and damage. There's a better look at our wonderful hero, Leilani. But this is the beginning of the end. The final DLC, the final journey in the Soul series for the Everything Possible videos. To kick things off, we will be heading over to the Kiln of the First Flame, where the bonfire to the Dreg Heap awaits. This ashen hill, climbing to the top of the arch tree, or to the broken arch tree, I should say. Right at the base, where all of these buildings seem to be colliding into one another and actually converging on one spot. We have this new bonfire that allows us to travel to the Dreg Heap. Now you can take an alternate path here. You can use the bonfire after you kill Sister Frida in the Painted World of Ariandel DLC, but I feel that the Kiln of the First Flame is a much more fitting place to start from, because as you can see here in the Dreg Heap, all of these towns, all of these buildings, all of these lands are converging on one another, just like we saw in the Kiln. Few things to take note of. We do have one NPC that we will be talking to momentarily, but over here, since I am offline, we know that this is a message left by the developer, and it says take the plunge. And if you take notice to the silhouette to the right, that is Gale, who we met in the Painted World of Ariandel. You also have this rock conspicuously placed with a bit of ribbon placed directly beneath it. Running around the side of this rooftop, we do pick up an ember, but before we drop down, let's meet this new NPC, because she also happens to be a merchant.
Oh, your head's square on your shoulders, is it? I thought that clamoring tin can was the last, but here we go again. What is it you want from this old stone-humped hag? I've nothing for you, not a smithereen. I just like to stand here and take in the view.
At this point, you have to state whether or not you have business with this stone-humped hag. Either way, you can continue the dialogue if you just talk to her again.
You think an old stone-humped hag would be brimming with goodies? I've none of that, not a smithereen.
She claims that she doesn't have anything, not even a smithereen. We'll see that that's not exactly accurate.
At the close of the Age of Fire, all lands meet at the end of the earth. Great kingdoms and anemic townships will be one and the same. The great tide of human enterprise, all for naught. That's why I'm so taken by this grand sight. This must be what it's like to be a god.
She will unlock additional dialogue options as we progress through the DLC, but she sells embers, divine blessings, hidden blessings, rusted coins, and rusted gold coins, as well as this weapon here, the split leaf greatsword. You can only pick this up from this merchant, or later on if you do obtain her ashes, you can give it to the shrine handmaid. A long-handled greatsword that made its way from a distant land, crafted entirely with steel, making it exceedingly heavy. But this weapon is not really a greatsword. In fact, you can see up there in the top left, it states that this is a halberd class weapon. The weapon art makes you look a bit like a helicopter, and the really cool thing is that it can actually deflect bolts and arrows that are coming in. Now the message here says to take the plunge, but I'm going to show you a slightly different method. The reason is, down and to the left, there are 3 enemies called Mercmen. One of them is a summoner Mercmen, and if we don't kill that one fast enough, it will summon a horde of other Mercmen that we would have to contend with. So I'm going to show you a slightly different method. So if we drop down here, we land in the ash, we take no damage. Approach the head of this dragon here. The first Mercmen does appear. Now that's not a summoner, that's just one of the sorcerer Mercmen. And you can see the other one waiting just on the landing of the stairs. We also have the corpse of this dragon. You want to fail this jump once. That actually gets your muscles going and you won't pull anything. Second time though, just make the jump. Easily dispatch of this Mercmen. Now before we go up the stairs, I do want to take care of the summoner who is waiting us just at the end of this platform. Extra style points if you kill him with a plunge. You can differentiate the Mercmen between the summoners and the sorcerers because the end of their staff glows blue. They look identical other than that blue glow, so if you see one with that glow, kill them quickly so they cannot continue to summon the other Mercmen. I just love the depiction of this dragon corpse being covered in ash. Now we have another brand new enemy type right here waiting for us. This is a Herald Legion Knight, and you can see that abyssal black mass that takes the shape of its head. Now I tried to get a plunge attack here, and you're going to see why here in just a second. I'm actually going to go back up the stairs just so I can get it right, because that abyssal spot is their weak spot. And if you get the plunge attack just right, you will get a special animation, just like when we were fighting the Ancient Wyvern. And with any decent weapon, you often can one-shot them. On this corpse, we do get our first Titanite chunk. We'll be getting lots of these throughout the DLC. But up at the top of these stairs, we'll get our first brand new weapon. An underrated, underappreciated weapon, if you ask me, the Aquamarine Dagger. Now this dagger, it is not infusible, it is not buffable, it is upgraded with Twinkling Titanite. This is a fantastic little dexterity and intelligence scaling weapon. It deals both physical and magic damage, it offers both slash and thrust attacks, and frankly it looks like a lightsaber. You can see there the damage over there on the right, not terrible scaling with both dexterity and intelligence, although with the strength it's a little bit low. It's odd that it even has any scaling to begin with. Engraved with the prayer in the old tongue to ward off incident. Perhaps it was a parting gift given to one sent off on great travels, and the skill is the Crystal Blade. Release magic from the aquamarine crystals, creating a fleeting blue crystal blade lengthy enough to swing as a straight sword, and that's exactly how it functions. I am going to equip this here in just a moment, but when you utilize this weapon skill, the blade extends into this magical blade, and you have the reach of a longsword. Some would say the broken reach. I'm switching to the Scholar's Ring so I meet the intelligence requirement, and then I'm going to completely forget how to utilize a weapon skill. So here I am trying to use the Parting Flame for my Pyromancer's Glove. Next I'll just try a Charizard 2 attack, why not? Then I'll two-hand it. Things are looking good. Oh, there's another Charizard 2. Better luck next time. There it is. That is the weapon skill, the Crystal Blade, and just absolutely look at how beautiful that is. It's interesting that you take this particular stance. It reminds me of the Haydenites from Dark Souls 2 when they're slowly approaching you. But there's the slash attacks. Some more slash attacks. You can see this does use a little bit of FP every time you swing it. And then you have this really great long-range thrust attack. Whenever you use the weapon art, the blade will do about 50% more magic damage. So for you dexterity users, if you have some intelligence built up, that can be a really fun, very fast weapon. It also pairs really well with any shield that offers the weapon skill ability instead of the bash or the parry. From here, we're going to go back down to where we saw the Merkman Summoner. Head towards the item, but oh, shocker. The ledge gave way. And we land in this rune along the bottom. We'll be seeing these a few times throughout the DLC. This room is crawling with Merkmen. Take care of the one sorcerer. And take care of this other one. Now, with these sorcerers, just because you get close doesn't mean they're no longer a threat, because they can and will hit you with that staff, and it does some good damage. We have that Titanite scale over here in these books. We saw that item behind that one bookshelf. We'll get that in just a little bit. One thing to watch out for is that grab attack. Many of these items are placed in such a way that it is a trap, and if you go for the item before dispatching the Merkmen, they will pull you down and do damage over time. They also have that transformative attack, the Great Soul Dregs. We will be able to pick that sorcery up later on, but just take note that the Merkmen can and will use it pretty liberally, and as you can see, it does a lot of damage. Over here by the chandelier, you want to bait 2 Merkmen to appear, one on the bottom, and then you can see the one dropping in from up above. Let them do their thing first, then come in and dispatch them. We get a Twinkling Titanite, which we will need to upgrade some of these new weapons. The item that fell along with us. Oh, but first, here is the Parting Flame in action, and I just absolutely love this ability. Once you've killed the requisite number of enemies, you can gain a free Estus. There's a Soul of a Weary Warrior, that's the item that fell alongside us. Once again, we're baiting an attack here, because just above that shiny is another Merkman. But we get their weapon, the Murky Hand Scythe. And before we take a look at that, we also got a Deep Gem. The Merkmen can all drop either Deep Gems or Human Dregs. The Murky Hand Scythe, it can be infused, it can be buffed, even though there is split damage. You saw there that it does both physical and dark. A short-shafted hand scythe wielded by the Merkmen who rise from the depths. It is similar to the harp weapon that you can get in the Undead Settlement, but it does have some innate dark damage, and it also uses the quick step weapon art like most daggers. The Dark Blade buff will add a lot more damage to this weapon than infusing it with dark, so pay attention because sometimes those infusions are not as good as the buffs that you could also get separately. Here we have our very first angel. Now these angels can be killed directly, but the problem is it's very tough, it's very dangerous, and they'll just be resurrected. Hidden Body works wonders here. If you use Hidden Body, the angel will completely lose track of you and allow you to go about your business. Since we don't have it, we're going to have to use cover. Waiting for the angel to turn around, dropping down into the ash, and then getting behind this bit of rubble. And wait for him to slowly start turning. And we just make a mad dash to get behind the buildings. Now, some of the angels in this DLC, by the way, 4 lightning urns here, they can also use the curse attack. And this curse attack can be very dangerous because if they can hit you with the projectiles, they will summon this AoE curse attack that builds up curse very, very quickly. Here we have a couple of Lothric Knights, and when they get a little closer, you'll notice there's something a little bit different about them. They're covered in these roots, similar, somewhat at least, to the Herald Knights, which seems to be some sort of abyssal influence. I'm using Equip Force here not necessarily to do damage because as you saw it's only doing a little over 100 damage at a time, but it knocks them to their feet, which gives me a great opportunity to switch back to my greatsword and to deal a lot of damage very quickly. You'll see a little bit later with some of these ones wielding the Great Shield that it can also be a great opportunity to break their guard and then get the free riposte. Once again, knock them down. And I got a little bit greedy with that third swing. But using the weapon art, and there we go. Both knights are defeated. They will very often have drops for you. In this case, 2 Titanite chunks from that one. This room we will be traveling through more than once. In fact, we'll be coming back here in just a little bit, but I just love how everything is starting to crumble and become decrepit, because at this point, time is somewhat coming to a close. We just grabbed a Soul of a Crestfallen Knight, and just take a look at this next area. Ash is covering everything. We have this statue that seems to have been a fountain, but over here, what looks almost like it could have been a tree upon closer inspection, this is actually one of those pus of men that we have fought several times throughout this series. So it seems like the Abyss is very strong at work here. As we travel down the path, you can see that one tower has just fallen. Not only has that created a bit of a bridge, but it has also broken the wall that those Lothric Knights were just guarding. Running past the angel, we have another message from Gale, but more importantly, we have this figure right here. Take a look at the base. The base appears to be a pilgrim, just like Yol and just like the Stoneham tag. And when you defeat this parasitic-looking pilgrim, the corresponding angel passes away and will not be revived. Anytime you find an angel, understand there is a host somewhere that will keep it alive. Grab 2 Twinkling Titanite there. Before we continue, we are now going to do a little bit of backtracking because the angel is dead, which means it is safe to go back and collect some goodies. There is the wall that's been destroyed. We will be traveling that a little bit later on. But our first objective is to head back up this ramp to where we drop down to get away from the angel, because it's a little bit too dangerous to get this item at first, but there is a divine blessing, so there's some sort of Guinevere influence to this area as well. And then running on this wooden platform on the outside of the building, which would have been extremely dangerous and very foolish to get while the angel was alive, we get the Ring of Steel Protection +3. This DLC has several +3 variants of rings that we've collected during the base game. This will allow us to have an extra 17% damage absorption, and if you remember, I've talked about this more than once, the Ring of Steel Protection came from Knight King Rendal, the king of the Baldur Knights that were introduced in Dark Souls 1. You saw that there was a Merkman that tried to drop on us. Now this next section, I'm going to show you how I handle this, because there are a lot of Merkmen. So first I've cast Deep Protection. I'm getting my Greatsword back out. Watch out for the Great Soul Drag there. And I'm going to use Alluring Skulls to make sure all of the Merkmen that get summoned here focus on the skulls and not me. In almost every room, I'm going to throw one, just to be safe, because there are a lot. There's an illusory wall here, once again throwing a skull. Heading upstairs before I've killed anything or looted any items. Yet another skull, and then directly ahead you can see that blue glow. That is the summoner. There is one more further on, but so far all of the Merkmen that have been summoned were done so by that one particular summoner. Using the massive reach of the Greatsword here. The nice thing is I'm actually able to kill these sorcerers in one hit thanks to the Deep Protection increase. And just a few more Merkmen to kill, then we can get to looting. Here's another. Overkill with the running R2. And there's that melee attack of the summoners. Excuse me, the sorcerers. Using another Alluring Skull because there are several, and if you get grabbed by any one of those Merkmen and then ganged up on, it can spell death for even the most tanky of players. And you can see that face glow that's around me. That is indication that the parting flame of the Pyromancer Flame is ready to be used, and we will do so again. There's a Titanite chunk. One more Merkman to kill. Going outside because there is an item hidden over here by the Pus of Men. 2 more rusted coins, and we did almost get attacked by the Great Soul Drag. We have now seen rusted coins. 2 different locations. The Stoneham tag had some for sale, and we just picked up 2. I do recall a certain NPC that used to sell us the rusted coins. Anyway, that's probably a coincidence. We got the Murky Longstaff. This is the staff that the sorcerers and the summoners are using. The Murky Longstaff, it has intelligence and faith scaling for dark sorceries, and it also gives you about a 20% extra dark attack damage during the weapon skill, the Chant from the Depths. It has really good intelligence scaling. This is a fantastic staff if you are focusing on dark sorceries and trying to keep your faith relatively low. Otherwise, staffs like the Isla staff are going to be a better choice, but it also has a fairly decent melee attack. There is the Parting Flame skill, getting another Estus back. Over here behind the boxes, there's an Ember hidden, don't forget that. And I'm going to get my Alluring Skulls because this is probably the most dangerous that the Merkmen can become. You can see there with that blue glow, that is a summoner, and look how many Merkmen appear, but not only that, they immediately go into the Great Soul Dreg mode. So our goal is to throw a skull, get their attention, kill the summoner, and then carefully and deftly avoid all of the Great Soul Dregs. But I think that went rather well. Kicking the ladder down, not that we'll ever need to use it again. The summoner dropped for us some human dregs, so if you want to farm, the Merkman is not a terrible way to do it. And then we actually get the sorcery, the Great Soul Dregs. This sorcery occupies 1 spell slot, requires 40 intelligence to cast, and this is a homing sorcery. It has a very large size, as you've seen some of the Merkmen use against us, and it's really tough for enemies and even players to avoid, even though it does move a little bit slowly. It works really well with the Murky Longstaff because it is considered a dark sorcery, especially if you're at low faith investments. Now this can produce some huge damage numbers, so I definitely recommend giving that a try. Dropping down into the ash below on the platform, not taking the ladder. On this corpse we get the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring +3, again, a +3 variant of a ring we've seen before. This gives 35% more souls. Adding this and the Symbol of Avarice and the Medican Staff after you've killed a boss will yield incredibly huge soul numbers. But once again, here's our good friend Gale. There was even a sword sticking out of the ground there with his cloth, signifying that we can drop down safely. And you see that black ooze as we're bombarded with these little soul dregs. That is going to spawn a lot of Merkmen and a Herald Legion Knight. There's the Great Soul Dreg coming. Luckily, it got hit on a piece of the environment. So my goal, I'm going to kill as many of the Merkmen as possible, get an Alluring Skull to get their attention. It doesn't impact the Herald. But since we don't have the ability to drop on him, we're just going to have to focus on doing some regular old damage. Fortunately, despite their size, as you just saw there, they have relatively low poise. I foolishly allowed myself to get hit there. When they start doing that ground attack, they'll do 6 ground pounds and then 1 final leap. You can roll under the leap and then allow yourself to get a nice charge attack. By the way, you'll notice here in just a moment, not with this attack, but with the next one, they can attack other enemies in the environment. Such as that. There's the 6th, there's the leap, and here's our chance. Another leap that can do massive damage, as you saw there. By the way, you're welcome. I thought it just would be deserving of everyone to be able to see the damage that they can produce. And just one more hit. There we are. I really like fighting the Herald Legion Knights. I really do, especially if there's an opportunity to plunge. There's the Parting Flame yet again. I really do enjoy that weapon skill. And we got the Herald Legion armor, so they can drop all their armor, and we also got a couple of Titanite chunks. Very heavy armor, but it does have some good defenses, and this is armor worn by the Herald Legion who sought the Dark Soul. The armor sank into the dark with the Legion, where the cavities bloated in grotesque displays, never again to fit any ordinarily shaped body. Lots of poise, lots of defense, but lots of weight as well. Directly behind this pillar, we do have one more Titanite chunk. We can see all of the corpses of these pilgrims. Up there where that railing is, that is where we're going to be backtracking to. There are 3 Homer bones on this corpse, and then once again, there's Gale. There's his cloth on the railing. Take the plunge, you won't die. Well, he's been trustworthy so far. we land right into another one of those runes, and you may have noticed that as we were falling, that there was an item about halfway down. We're going to have to do some backtracking to get there. Fortunately for us, we do have another bonfire. We'll be exploring this area in the next episode, but in the meantime, we do have an alternate path that we need to take. So after lighting this bonfire, we're going to be going right back to the Dreg Heap. And at this point, I decided might as well just speed up the video. The only enemies I'm going to be killing are those Lothric Knights, so there's no reason for you to watch it again. But sometimes I do like to show this part, even though I'm going to speed it up, because it gives you a sense of where to go. Because sometimes this can take a few practice runs to get down. Lothric Knights once again, deep protection, using force quite liberally. There's the riposte. Luring him out into the open. Once again, a riposte. They are both defeated. Get some Titanite chunks for my trouble. And now we can take that one tower bridge that collapsed earlier on in the episode. Over on this side, with this lantern on the ground, we see this one somewhat conspicuous looking NPC.
Oh, look at you. You've got your head screwed on correct. Fantastic. To meet a kindred spirit on this god's forsaken crag. Call me Lap. I can't remember my real name, so let's just go with that. I have a feeling we're going to make a fabulous team. Oh, you'll see. You'll see. Oh, in all honesty, there's something I should tell you. I'm a hollow. Yes. I try to play it off, but I haven't a clue about my past, who I was, or what I lived for. Not even my own blessed name. That's why I've come here, searching for the Purging Monument. Said to be in the Ringed City, where the pygmies who found the Dark Soul at the Dawn of Fire reside. All I can say is, those little stones aren't doing much to help me remember anymore. Well, that's the long and short of it. So if I completely forget who you are, don't be wroth with me. Come on. What else can I say? I'm a bloody hollow, for heaven's sake.
Well, here we have a very honest and very transparent NPC, someone we've never met before. Although between his name, its origin, the way he's sitting, his voice, and the trail of rusted coins leading up to here, you know, that's a conversation for another day. We can hear a Merkman off in the distance. I'm going to use some deep protection just to help with some of the damage absorption. And here is where I make several mistakes. I run up here. I knew about the one Merkman that was about to drop onto me. One thing I forgot, though, was about the Merkman who appears behind, and that great soul drag was almost enough to knock me down. Which, frankly, that's where we're headed, but I wasn't really quite prepared. This ledge right here, as you can see, is a great opportunity for you to take the plunge onto that Herald Legion Knight, but since we've already been down here, we have no reason to. You can also go to where the railing is broken right here. 2 more Merkmen are going to be spawning behind me, but I'm not too concerned about them. They shouldn't be following us. But you can see the pile of ash down below. We drop down, and then as we see, just taking a look to make sure that the Merkman's not following, you may have just caught a glimpse. There's another Lothric Knight with another one of those banners that they're carrying. Now, I haven't talked about that just yet, but there is a reason. We're going to be getting that item here momentarily, and that's when we'll have that conversation. You can see him performing some sort of ritual, some sort of buff, and with all these Merkmen now appearing, completely forgetting to two-hand it, otherwise that Merkman would have been dead. but using force to knock him to the ground. Nice charge R2 there. Fortunately, I just missed the last kill, but force was, or mid-force I should say, was enough to kill him. Mercman has been defeated, get 2 more Titanite chunks. And now in this next courtyard, there's still a number of Mercmen, and they came out of nowhere, which means there's a summoner nearby. So we'll get that skull to get their attention. I want to deal with this sorcerer, but then you can hear behind me, and over there, right in the alcove, you can just see that faint blue glow, where I should have had it right from the beginning. There's a summoner, and now, instead of attacking like I should have, I just got grabbed by a Mercman. You can see I'm about halfway dead, 3/4 of the way dead. Things are not looking super great for me. Luckily, once the sorcerer's down, it's just a matter of killing these weak little crawling Mercmen. And by the time all is said and done, yep, there is the indication. I can use the Parting Flame to get one of my Estus back. But over in that alcove, we have a brand new miracle, Projected Heal. A really cool miracle for anyone interested in performing co-op. Projected Heal is a ranged heal, a miracle discovered in the last days of Lothric. You toss a light that heals those near their point of impact. This will offer, for the caster, if you're close enough, an HP regain up to 170% of your current spell buff of your Chime or Talisman, and for other players, it's 230%. It's an area of effect healing. It requires 28 faith, only takes up 1 slot, and only 55 focus. This is not a bad little healing miracle. Very unique. I was very glad to see this in the DLC. Speaking of mistakes, you're about to see another even bigger one. You see, I have this Lothric Knight patrolling, but I knew that there was another one. I just decided I could maybe very quickly kill this one first. But attack from the front, attack from the back, attack from the front. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously I would not have died here if I wasn't recording, because I wanted you to see that yes, I am indeed human. That's not even remotely true. This was after several practice attempts and I still died. Sorry, not sorry. I did not show the run back. You've already seen it twice before, or at least most of the way through. But what I should have done is exactly what I'm doing right now. Just wait for the patrols to become sufficiently separated so I can do a plunge attack. You can see here, not quite yet. He did turn around. There's the other Lothric Knight. Wait for him to go and turn the corner, and now we're safe. I took just a tiny bit of damage, but he is dead. The other one has no idea. On this corpse, we have a large soul of a weary warrior. And at this point, I get my emit force ready. Stop him from even getting that buff off. That would have been a great opportunity for a riposte. Knock him down to the ground, and once again trying that charge R2, which he gets his great shield up in plenty of time. Time for a quick heal and back to emit force. Knock him down, and then just some R1s. Should finish. And there we have it. 2 Titanite chunks. That was a great look at those abyssal roots taking over those Lothric Knights. And the last item that we're going to be picking up is just over here near Uncle Gale's message. The Lothric War Banner, the weapon that those Lothric Knights have been using. Probably one of the most interesting weapons so far. It is a pike or a spear class weapon. You can see there it does physical damage, but it does have some faith scaling as well. The flagpole that once carried the Lothric crest and guided the knights long ago, the tip of the pole is fitted with a sharply pointed decoration, letting it serve as a spear, but the weapon skill is where this weapon truly shines, the Lothric War Banner skill. This weapon can be infused and buffed, and this weapon skill will give a 15% increased damage once you've used it, and it is for yourself and players in the vicinity. This is a quality type weapon. You can see the scaling in both strength and dexterity, and there are several infusion options that actually give it some really impressive scaling. The buff, the weapon art, lasts for 2 minutes, one of the longer ones in the game. Uncle Gale once again not leading us astray. We drop down into the ash. There's the room that we dropped into before, and there is the bonfire that we've already lit. And you can see a familiar looking face on the ledge above it, but we'll talk to him next time. But that is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3. We are now in the Ring City, and if you learned something, please leave me a comment and let me know what you learned, because I love to hear those comments. And if I missed something as well, please make sure to leave that comment so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.